podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Here, we love talking about everything Batman. The BatmanUniverse.net has news, original content, and reviews about Batman comics, movies, TV shows, video games, and more. Check out the BatmanUniverse.net and join our Discord server to start chatting with fellow fans. We can't wait to talk to you guys. Also, visit our Patreon page and join our other awesome supporters. But enough of this nonsense. On with the show.
Welcome to the Batman Universe Comic Podcast, Season 16, Episode 12. I'm your host, Ian.
This is Jaymee.
And this is Theo.
And we've got 2 issues to review, plus our Greater Gotham, so let's jump into our news first. We had 2 new announcements of creative teams wrapping up their runs in the Bat Family titles, and the first one was Joshua Williamson is leaving Batman and Robin and Green Arrow, but that's not a Batman title, but I just thought I'd mention it. He says this is to focus on Superman, to focus on some upcoming projects, and generally just to manage his workload. He's got at least 1 young child, and I think probably more than that. And I hope that he's in a good place. I really enjoy his stuff on Superman. I've really enjoyed his stuff on Batman and Robin. I do feel that this means my sense that he's wrapping things up a little more quickly than he would have. That to me confirms that. I feel like originally he had a plan for, at least 18 issues, and he's wrapping it up at, I think, 13. He says it is, the title is continuing, so there will be a new creative team, and so I'm excited about that. What do you guys feel about Josh Williamson stepping away from Batman and Robin and Green Arrow?
Well, I mean, I'm not reading Green Arrow, so I really can't comment on that. But I did find it. I think the new creative team would have to be someone who is definitely a Damian fan, because Joshua Williamson. I know I said in the last episode that I didn't like Damian so much, but Joshua Williamson helped me like him better, especially in his run on Robin during the Lazarus tournament, and he has been writing Damian for Batman and Robin, so he knows Damian's voice. So that's not always easy to find, is somebody who knows Damian's voice. So I'm kind of sad seeing him leave for that.
Devastated. That's the simplest word that I can use right now. The last week or so with news dropping was just kind of unbearable for me. I've been having several moments with some of my favorite titles losing their creative teams.
Which other titles have been losing them other than the one we're going to talk about next, which wasn't your favorite?
No, it's not all DC.
Yeah, but what? I mean, we all like other titles.
If y'all want to find out, listen to the latest episode of the Comic Bent podcast.
Look at that pro podcasting move right there.
There you go.
I'm sad because I did really like Batman and Robin, and I wish that would be a title he'd be like, I'm sticking with this, I'll drop some other ones. But I do understand it, and I approve of it because, I mean, Theo and I both have been saying Josh Williams is writing too much. So this was inevitable. I'm just sad that Batman and Robin is one of the ones that had to take the punch. Well, I have a question later about what's coming, but in terms of just this news that Williamson's leaving, I am very sad. Next piece of news is T.D. Howard is leaving both Catwoman and Harley Quinn with one issue to wrap them up after the Gotham City Sirens miniseries by Leah Williams in August. So she's getting September, and then she'll be off in October. And she said that both of those books are continuing with different creative teams as well. How do you feel about these two? Now, these are both Bat Family titles, so we should comment on them based on our knowledge.
I have to be nice, don't I?
No, you do not.
I have been reviewing these two comics.
Thank you for taking the hit for me.
I know that, Theo has mentioned my reviews on a couple of episodes for these comics. I said in one of my reviews that I thought I liked Teenie Howard because I thought she had, what's the word I'm looking for? Range. But going deeper into those comics, she has pissed me off. I did not like what she's doing to Catwoman. I do not like what she's doing to Harley Quinn. There has been numerous scenes in both books that I really care not to get too deep into it, but read the website, read my reviews, and you'll definitely hear my feelings for the last few issues. That's all I'm going to say because, yeah, I'm ecstatic that she's leaving.
So, Theo, is this a full-on party or just a happy dance?
I would take that ecstatic as the opposite of devastated, and if so, then I am ecstatic also. Now, granted, I've never cared about Harley. Everyone knows that, but even I have, again, in my normal duties, I have to see all of the titles, and just flipping some of those pages is just hard to see how that title could be anywhere near enjoyable. A new creative team won't change things, at least with Harley for me, because again, that's just a character I've never enjoyed. But I mean, when she was announced to be replacing Ramvi on Catwoman, I warned, and I'm pretty sure Ian warned as well, that we were going to be in trouble simply because of past history with some of our other favorite titles at that other publisher's house, that she did an absolute wonderful job of just ruining. And so the fact that she's now being taken off of Catwoman, again, I was really ecstatic with Ron V on it, and she took it over, and it went down really quick, and I'm happy I'm not alone in that feeling, just looking at the interwebs and all. But I am happy DC has finally. Well, I'm not going to say DC finally listened. This is typically around the time when teams change up. So, but yeah, I'm not going to say good riddance, but goodbye.
I don't think I said good riddance. I hope I didn't.
No, I don't think you did. But
So I had to review this title because I had the pleasure of reviewing Ram V's Catwoman from when he started in Infinite Frontier, and I stayed on that title for about a year after Teenie Howard took over, and I didn't have a good time. And I haven't read either Harley Quinn or Catwoman since I stopped reviewing it, and so I'm not as angry as I was. If I were still reading it, I probably would be quite upset and quite happy that she's gone, but I think distance has made me if I don't have to read it, I'm not upset about it. So that's fine. I read Teenie Howard's blog about it, and she was really classy, so I really appreciated that. She said, if you've liked my writing, then I appreciate your support. If you didn't like it, then you can be happy. And I'm like, well, that's classy. She knows that some people don't like it, and she's not bitter and nasty about it. So as a person, I feel Teenie Howard seems to be fine. I just really don't enjoy her writing. This announcement of Josh Williamson and Teenie Howard leaving 3 Bat books brings our total Bat books without creative teams announced for October at 5, because that includes Detective Comics by Ron V and Nightwing by Tom Taylor. That is a huge turnover. Well over half the line. I think it's at least 3/4 of the line, actually, of main continuity. Of course, there's a bunch of non-canon miniseries, and there's also these rumors that October is going to start the Absolute Power, but because I don't trust the source and it's not officially announced, we're not discussing that yet. But we are looking at a big Bat family, Bat line turnover. So I would like to take a little time just to throw out some ideas of who you'd like to see on some of these titles that are going forward.
Well, as I'm not too knowledgeable of different creative teams and different creators of comics, I'm more into the characters and the characters' voices. I don't really have an opinion of it, so I can't really answer that question.
That's fair.
Well, I know one person that I really think they are setting up, and they have been setting up, is Jason Aaron. I know he did Off-World. I think he did a few other Bat stories, perhaps in Brave and the Bold. I can't remember, but I think he is being set up to take a title.
I'm hearing Jason Aaron's in the Absolute Power thing.
With Snyder, please,
Yeah,
God, no.
That's what I'm hearing.
I can see Dan Waters taking the title. He's been on Detective forever.
Yes.
So I would assume that Detective might be his for the taking. I don't know. I think that they may have been setting up Travis Moore for Nightwing, considering the annual that he did. So
I hope not. That was a terrible annual.
Oh, it was a terrible annual, but the art was great. And
yeah, his art's always great.
Now, I would also say the thing that made the annual terrible was just the whole B story. I think he is still a decent writer.
Yeah, that's fair.
I will say this. What I am saying is not what Theo wants with regards to who he wants on his favorite titles. If that be the case, it would be Brandon Thomas, it would be Joshua Williamson still, and I'd have a cast Batgirl book. But this is just what I think is going to happen.
What is it?
I just said it.
Oh, the Jason Aaron thing?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I would love to see Dan Waters. I've really enjoyed his work. And I agree with Theo that I think Dan Waters, and you could maybe argue Cy Spurrier and Alex Paknadel, who have all done backups for Detective Comics, have been sort of set up. I really hope it's not Cy Spurrier, because I really dislike his writing, and I dislike him as a person. There's a chance that Mark Waid could come over to the Bat office, although that feels a little unlikely. I would love it, of course, if Jeremy Adams hopped over to any of the Bat titles. I think he'd do a great job on Nightwing. But it does seem like DC hasn't groomed as many writers as they could have, and I don't know if there's anyone at Marvel they're trying to poach right now. So, yeah, we're looking at a big turnover, and we don't have a ton of ideas of where it's going. So I guess we'll just have to wait till. Do you think they'll announce it at San Diego, Theo?
They will most definitely announce it at San Diego, unless some other stuff leaks prior to then.
And San Diego is middle of July?
End of July.
End of July. Okay, so we're probably going to have a big news episode end of July or early August. Hopefully.
It'll definitely be August, because it is literally the last weekend in July.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you guys, you listeners, have any ideas of what you think the creative teams will be or who you'd like to see, please leave it in the Discord or in the comments, or tweet us, or wherever else we have ways to leave feedback. Just leave some feedback, and we'll be happy to discuss those suggestions in the next coming episodes. With all that news covered, let's move to our reviews.
Wait.
Yeah.
Did you see where you thought Teeny was going? Because she is doing something bat related.
Yeah, I think
Based
it's a Black Label thing, but it's possible that it's a web. She has said it's a different format that's not an ongoing. That makes
Okay,
me
good.
think much more Black Label because a webtoon would be more like an ongoing, but I could be wrong.
That leaves Sirens out of the story, out of the running.
Well, it could be Sirens. It's just not going to be in continuity.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of the Leah Williams piece, which is supposed to be in continuity, so it won't be a continuation of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Oh, that's something else. I think there's a good chance that Leah Williams could come over to Catwoman or Harley or both. I think that could be what they're doing with the Sirens book, is setting her up. She's doing that, and then she builds those two titles out from the miniseries. But no idea. All right, let's move to our reviews, starting with Batman number 149. Our main story is titled A Good Fantasy. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, art by Michelle Bandini, colors by Nick Filardi. 2 weeks after the end of Dark Prisons, Zur-En-Arrh's Bruce Wayne clone Robin fights crime in Gotham alleyways. Batman stops him and embraces him. Bruce takes him to the cave under the brownstone and runs tests, revealing that clone Bruce has manipulated memories from Bruce's life, and he's aging at an incredible rate. Clone Bruce admits that Zur planned to let him die, put another clone in his place, so none of the Robins could ever break free of his control. Damian tells Bruce that he's going to get the failsafe body back from Amanda Waller, but Bruce feels his priority has to be the clone for now. Batman takes Tim Drake Robin to Zur's base, where they search for a cure to clone Bruce's aging, and Bruce talks about the fallout in his mind and heart after Zur's attack. Back at the brownstone, clone Bruce notices Bruce's robot hand, and Bruce, solely gaining Zur's memories, realizes that Zur had secret accounts with more than $3 billion. When he comes back to the brownstone, Tim and Damian tell Bruce that clone Bruce has cut off his hand for Bruce to use. Dick Grayson arrives, meeting Damian, Tim, Barbara, and Mr. Terrific, but none of them can figure out a solution to clone Bruce's aging. Clone Bruce, now very, very old, says he doesn't want to die underground, so Bruce, sporting weeks' worth of beard, takes him outside to watch the sunset in the yard of Wayne Manor. Clone Bruce dies, saying that a good life is helping and being helped, and Bruce thanks his clone. Vandal Savage lights up the bat signal, offering to let Bruce be Batman if he just does some jobs for him. Batman blows up the bat signal in response, punches Vandal, and says he's going to take him down. All right, so our first question is, how do you like our art by Michelle Bandini? I believe Michelle has done some art for some of the backups previously, but he's mostly artist for Marvel that I've encountered. So it's kind of cool to see him doing work on the Batman book.
Overall, I like it. There are certain periods that, overall I do like it. I was looking at Vandal Savage smirk. I think that's very telling of what that character is thinking. I like it. It's descriptive. It relays the emotions. Yeah, I like it. It's again, art's not really my thing because I'm not an artist itself, but it's not jarring to me at all. And that's kind of what I'm looking at when I look at art.
I mean, it's not Jorge. Nothing's Jorge.
Only Dan Moore is going to come close to Jorge.
Well, see, I kind of prefer Dan to Jorge, but that's me.
Right, but they're both the top tier at DC.
Oh yeah, easily. But no, it was nice. I think the colors were better.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with Nick Filardi, the colorist, on Twitter because I listened to his podcast on YouTube, and he's an old school DC colorist. I think he goes back at least a decade, maybe a couple more. And he said he was really working on light and stuff, and I could really tell. There's a really cool lighting thing he did for this book.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was a big fan. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say again, not Jorge enjoy, but still enjoy.
Yeah. I really liked Michelle Bandini when he was doing both. He did Amazing Spider-Man with Nick Spencer, and he did the Sony Spider-Man video game adaptation with Dennis Hopeless, and I really liked both of those. So seeing him over on Batman, it was cool, and Nick Filardi gave him kind of more of a watercolor painterly look than he had on the Spider-Man books, and that was cool because I think Batman looks good with some painted texture type thing. That was definitely in evidence. And the scene of the sunset and the scene of Batman on the roof with Vandal Savage, both of them just really dramatic lighting, really good emotional effect. And that was definitely highlighted with the pencils and the color. The next question I had was, when I reread this issue, because I filled in for the review on the site. I normally don't review the Batman book. And I was really thinking about Batman number 136, which was the issue right after Batman gets out of the multiverse and right before Gotham War. And it was another sort of transitional issue between arcs. And it also featured Mr. Terrific. And it also had a heavy focus on Bruce's hand and the Bat family. And so I believe that Zdarsky wants us to look at 136 and 149 as kind of bookend to the middle two arcs of his run. What do you think about that connection? Because there's a lot of stuff set up in 136 that I think is really paid off here in 149.
Well, I'm actually just re-looking at 136. It's been a while since I read it, so it was hard for me to remember. I mean, this is right before I think Batman starts really going insane, basically, I think.
Exactly.
And then the Batman that we see in the current issue 149, he was a much saner individual. He was actually caring. I think he really didn't have a whole lot of care in 136. So it was just looking at the two of them side by side, it's a glaring difference in the character. And that's really the basic thing that I noticed. But yeah, it's his reaction to the Bat family in 136 versus his reaction to the Bat family in 149, which I really believe he's got a very good reaction to his family in 149. I'm just waiting for it to go south again.
The hand issue is weird, to say the least. I wish that we had surgeons like they do in Gotham,
No,
where
that's my next question.
You can get your hand back and there's not a scar.
Theo, this is my next question. Don't do that one yet.
Well, I mean, but that was the whole part of the whole fucking thing. I don't know. I guess I can't answer the question.
Well, I guess we'll get to it in the next question then, because that is a big question. But in terms of the bookend, since I brought it up, I really love 136 because I think that Bruce desperately wanted to care. In his heart, he cared deeply in 136, but he was so terrified. Like, he was so driven by fear at that point. Because, of course, Zur-En-Arrh was acting as a parasite on his mind. And it's so refreshing to see him just show Bruce as the compassionate man that we've come to love. You know, taking care of this clone who didn't ask to be born. I thought that was really cool. Now, let's talk about... In this issue, Zdarsky resets two problems that have plagued the Batman status quo. One which he created, which is the hand, the robot hand. He lost his hand fighting a multiversal Joker in the Batman of Gotham arc. And then, of course, in Joker War, or actually in the prequel to Joker War, Their Dark Designs, Catwoman accidentally helped Joker steal most of Bruce's money. And now he has roughly an equivalent amount back. So what do you think about Zdarsky resetting these two significant status quo issues?
Wait. Okay, so maybe I'm psychic, but wasn't that a part of your question? Wasn't that a part of your previous question?
No, I talked about the bookend, and I mentioned the hand, but I didn't say it was the resetting thing.
Okay. Go ahead, Jaymee.
Professional podcasting right here.
Oh, please. Can you get more contrite? Can you get more contrived? Returning your toys to the sandbox kind of a thing? I mean, where does Zur-En-Arrh... How does... I don't even know what it is, to be honest with you. A personality that's in a robot how does it get rich?
Well,
And
okay, go ahead.
and I agree with Theo. You know, the hand. I never really understood this hand concept. Um, Now I agree. It's kind of like that's pretty darn good. No scarring. Complete use of the hand. I'm not a doctor, but I used to work in the medical field, so I definitely say, yeah, give me a break. I guess comics. Um, but go ahead, Ian. You're going to mention about the money thing.
No, it's Theo's turn next.
Oh, okay.
I have my own thoughts on the whole thing.
Okay.
I mean, again, I am not the Zdarsky fan of the Comic Cast crew, so
That's me.
Yeah, the way it was done and how it was done, and just so miraculously heal in what a day. This would be the time where we need science Steph here, so that she could explain how some of the stuff that happens just isn't humanly possible. I mean, it's kind of difficult to explain the. It's kind of difficult to explain the money thing as well, because at some point we had this notion that Bruce controlled when Zor appeared and when he regressed, with the exception of that one backup story where Zor was creating failsafe,
which was actually 136.
So I don't know. It's good to kind of see status quo, but I will say this: I don't think Selena accidentally stole the money. I think she purposely stole the money to purposely give to Lucius, which is basically what they did, right? Basically what she did, right?
So Joker stole it using her plan, and then Selena stole it back and gave it to Lucius.
Right, that's right. She stole it from the broker.
Was it Broker? Was it Penguin? I think it was Penguin.
No, it was the broker.
Broker was involved, but I thought it was a Penguin facility. It was Catwoman issue 25 back in Joker.
It was Broker, because Broker was mining everything as far as keeping an eye on everything. Yeah, it was Broker that she stole it from. That I do remember. But anyway, so yeah, I'm okay with the status quo, quote unquote, being back. Just the explanation or the lack thereof is just meh.
So, as the resident Zdarsky fan, I think people will be unsurprised when I say I thought this was really nice. I have been sick of the Bruce is just a millionaire, not a billionaire status quo since James Tynion did it, and I think that it was Tynion basically admitted that he did it because of fandom political pressure, and I think that it's stupid, and it's good that it's back. In terms of the mechanics of the money specifically, because that issue showed that Bruce was unaware that Zur was coming out and playing, and we have a flashback showing Bruce remembering Zur doing that to get the money. I think that the idea that Batman couldn't skim off the top of many things, like research and development and mothball things and shell companies, and get that much money, and then because he's Bruce, he could, but Bruce without any moral breaks, he would be playing the stock market and growing that money. And this is, from back like in year 2 or 3, because he developed the personality relatively early. So I don't think that the money is that implausible to me, and I'm really happy it's back, because I'm sick of the status quo that he's rich, but not the richest. I mean, okay. In terms of the hand, I do agree with Jaymee that it's completely contrived, but I like the way it was set up, because I think that all the contrivances do make character sense. Zur creating clones that basically disposable mayfly clone that age rapidly and die so that he can constantly have a supply of really smart, really capable henchmen who he never has to worry about them breaking through his brainwashing. And then because it's Bruce, because Zur-Anar was originally a Bruce personality, that makes sense. And then the rapid aging allowing us to get to a hand that's the right age for Bruce. Again, absolutely contrived, but all the character things line up, so it's the kind of thing that feels like a fun puzzle rather than, and he magically did the thing because he needed to do the thing. So I liked that. I also liked that it was clone Bruce's choice, because that was something that fits with the theme of living to help and be helped. Someone who's been brought up by Zurinar to be abusive and violent and controlling instead chooses to help. And sacrifice, which Batman, of course, is all about sacrificing himself to save the people of Gotham. So I really liked it. I found it a fun way to do the reset, even though I am a bit perplexed why we're doing the reset now, because it feels to me like there's still a lot more story to tell in Zdarsky's run. But it's possible that we are looking at a wrap-up soon, although Zdarsky definitely has not listed that he is leaving after September.
I can't remember, and I meant to look it up. Did Bruce lose the same hand Alfred did in Snyder's run?
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Let me think. Alfred, I want to say Alfred's was the left hand, but I could be wrong.
I can't remember, but it was a good callback to that too.
Yeah, and also the whole medical thing. I mean, they kept Alfred's hand on ice for a freaking year. That's truly ridiculous. I looked it up back then, and it's like, no, you can only have a viable organ transplant like a couple days on ice. It's not going to last a year. So we're talking magic levels of technology at this point for organ replacement. But since it's already been done multiple times with Alfred in Batman, let's see, that was 2015, 16 that happened. So less than a decade ago. I'm not particularly boggled by the transplant issue.
I mean, there is one point that I kind of want to make about the age. The age that they show Bruce or clone Bruce, he actually looks like he would be a little bit older than Bruce Wayne is, because there's gray in his hair. He's got the Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, gray at the temples.
That is a good point.
At which point?
When he cuts his hand off.
Yeah, I think when he cuts his hand off.
Well, two things. I thought there was a line where they say he was basically the same age when he cut it off.
Yeah, it was. And Bruce was gone for like a day or so when he did it. So we don't know at what point.
At what point he did. It was basically the hand was the same age as Bruce. Now, by the time Bruce got back and he has the gray, he could have accelerated more. Yeah, and who knows? Okay. Bruce might be a customer of Just for Men. So
I know that's another good point. He has a Playboy image to uphold.
Okay, you got me on that one.
I love that line. Bruce might be a customer. That's perfect. All right. Now, what plot lines do you think are really left for Zdarsky to wrap up at this point?
You want me to go, Jaymee? I can.
Yeah, I'm just, the only thing I'm thinking of, and I'm probably completely off base on this, because actually I read a lot of this in like a couple of sittings because I was binging it to get caught up for the cast. But, in the very beginning of it, when Failsafe hit and they sent the Justice League in and stuff like that, there was a scene where the Justice League were held captive and Barbara was like at the center of it, and she was some kind of, I guess she was mind controlled or something. And that was completely lost to me as to what happened after that. I know this was a long time ago, but it just seemed like there was a missing piece there. I don't know if that's going to come back.
I think the idea was that once Failsafe decided to shut down, everything went back to normal. But because Bruce was immediately sucked into the other dimension, we didn't really get to see that. And the Tim Drake storyline that was in the current continuity as he was searching for Bruce wasn't even set in Gotham that much. So yeah, there is a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't see transitioning from the end of Failsafe to the beginning of Gotham War. But I've always just assumed that once Failsafe left, it just sort of went back to normal.
That's like the only real hole that I can really think of. But again, like I said, I read this pretty quickly through, so I definitely could have skimmed over parts or missed some parts. Other than, maybe a more of healing between Selena and Bruce's relationship.
Stay out of my head, Jaymee. Stop taking my lines.
Okay, I'll shut up now. You go ahead, Theo.
I mean, I know we're going to probably discuss it more when we get to the backup story, but dang it, Jaymee. No, other than the Selena part, I hope Zdarsky will go ahead and get his Tim Love Fest out of the way, because it has really dampened my feelings on this run of his. Because again, me and Ian are at odds in agreement on this, but I think he has hurt the family more than he's helped the family with this mission to elevate Tim to Super Tim status.
Well, I think that there's three things I think Zdarsky has left kind of in the air. The first one is, I think Zur-En-Arrh, how he escaped Bruce as a personality, is something I'd like explored. The second is, of course, Vandal Savage, which we see, I think, the beginning of Batman's campaign against Vandal here. And the last one is Dr. Cappuccino, who, of course, is still around and being evil. So I think that, at the very least, we're going to see Savage and Cappuccino being thorns in Bruce's side once the tie-ins to the event are over. Let's move to our backup. And this is, of course, written by Chip Zdarsky, and art is by Steve Lieber, colors again by Nick Filardi. The Bat family gathers in civilian clothes, starting with Dick and Babs, joined by Damian and Duke, Cass, Steph, and Tim, and they wind up at an old, broken-down mansion Bruce is fixing up. He tells his kids that it's the Lomuller mansion, taken over by the Joker. Bruce plans to convert the buildings around the mansion into affordable housing, charities, and gardens for the public, and rename the house Pennyworth Manor. He invites the kids to consider Pennyworth Manor their home too, saying they're not an army, but a family. He wants Batman and the Bat family, as well as the Wayne family, to live in Gotham, not outside it. He tells Dick that getting old with his family is a good fantasy. The title of the the issue. Later that night, as he receives the coffin containing clone Bruce and buries it, Selena arrives. They laugh about the weirdness of their lives, his clone, her space adventures, and Bruce apologizes for his actions during Gotham War. He asks if Selena wants to move in with the rest of the family, and she turns him down, but comes in to see the rest of the house, and his plans nonetheless. So, we have the art shift for this backup from Michel Bandini to Steve Lieber, who is a really veteran artist. He's actually one of the artists for Detective Comics under Greg Rucka. Is one of the first comics I remember reading. And of course, he's done lots of stuff for Marvel, like Superior Foes of Spider-Man with Nick Spencer, and he also did a couple issues of the main Amazing Spider-Man run with Nick Spencer. He also has been doing a lot of stuff just over in the indie market. So he's a veteran artist, and seeing him return to the Bat family after 20 plus years, I thought was really cool. How'd you like this section of the art?
I didn't. I preferred the Bandini, definitely. It was jarring for me to move from I know it's a different story, but they didn't really separate it. It was like right the next page after Batman leaves Vandal. It's I thought it was it was the next day or something. So it was like completely jarring for me. It feels awfully cartoony, and I'm not a fan of what I would consider cartoony art, especially not in a Batman book. If it was a comedy issue, I would be much more, in favor of using that. But it just feels awfully, just awfully cartoony to me.
I'm going to disagree with Jaymee. I like the art. Steve Lieber is I'm not going to say old school. Old school is kind of Kelly Jones era, and Lieber comes a little bit after him. But I've enjoyed his art, so I really liked it. I mean, again, you needed a change of pace considering going from the main story to the backup, and I thought it was a good change.
I agree. because Steve Lieber was part of the cadre of DC artists when I started reading comics, including Scott McDaniel and Rick Burchett and Sean Martinborough, they do tend to have a more cartoony style, a more clean line, less painterly aspect, but I really enjoy that. And I've liked seeing his career. Oh, he also did the Jimmy Olsen book with Matt Fraction. Forgot about that, which definitely is a cartoony book. So I would agree with Jaymee that this is cartoony. I just enjoyed it. And I like that it's not too cutesy. It keeps a sense of sort of the blockiness and the strength and the individual character of the characters so that not everybody doesn't look like cute supermodel type. It's definitely a shift, and I appreciate that. It might not to be everyone's taste, but I enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed the scene where Bruce gets the coffin at night, and there's this light shining on him on a sheet over his work, and you see the Batman shadow against the sheet when Bruce is the one being shown. And I thought that was just really fun. What do you think about this new Pennyworth Manor as a status quo for the Bat family, Batman, in Gotham instead of in the the northern countryside of Gotham?
Well, I mean, I can answer that, but I'm going to have to use like my own personal experience to answer that. Is that a doable thing? I mean, way I see it, I like the idea.
Okay.
Batman and Bruce are supposed to be saviors of Gotham, defenders of Gotham. And I never liked the idea of your savior, your hero being in an ivory tower. And that's kind of what Wayne Manor sort of represented to me sometimes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
that's what I kind of mean by that. So this actually put Bruce in the city. He's now in the city. He's of the city. And because he's always talking about defending the city and how he loves the city. But he doesn't live in the city. Now he does. So I guess it's a similar thing as saying like a cop who's a cop in the city should live in the city that they serve in.
Yeah.
Well, I have no problem with Bruce being in the city. You know, I was on board when he moved into the brownstone during Tamaki's run. So the fact that, you know, he's gonna stay in the city and just in a bigger place, you know, away from the elite. I'm okay with that. I guess we're gonna have comic magic to see that new cave built under the new manor. That's not gonna wake up anyone or cause any questions with the sound of jackhammers and stuff. But no, I'm okay with I'm okay with the City Bat family.
I really like it. I agree with Jaymee. I think that Batman being and the Wayne family in general being, you know, connected to the people of Gotham is a good thing. I like that Batman is explicitly opening the manor to the family and developing parks and charities and community center type places around this new Pennyworth Manor. I think it's a really intriguing status quo. I really hope that Zdarsky can make it stick for several years because I think it has tons of storytelling potential. It's a good symbolic look for Batman and Bruce Wayne, and I would like to see it be the status quo. I like the brownstone. I'm not saying I dislike the brownstone, but it always felt temporary. Like the way they talked about it, the way they drew it felt like it was sort of makeshift, and he moved there. This feels like something that's set up to be a bigger status quo, and I hope it stays that way. Of course, Zdarsky could leave and the next writer could just be like, and off screen, Bruce got back Wayne Manor and he's living there and it's just like it used to be 50 years ago. So it could be just like that. I hope not, because I think this is a good development and I'd like to see some stability in the status quo, but we'll see. What do you think about Batman and Catwoman's relationship going forward and how they handled the fallout from Gotham War?
I think it needs a little more depth to it. You know, I mean, basically it was like, yeah, I talked to the others and they told me what was going on, and it's like, yeah, that's true, kind of a thing. Because they really, I mean, Bruce did some things that were, as he said, out of line. I think there needs to be more of a healing. I think that's, again, it's another too quick too contrived. I see healing happening, of course, but I like to see a little more emotional pathos, if you will, in it. It's just, again, it just seems too quick and too easy.
No, I didn't like it. Instead of apologizing to Selena, he should have been apologizing to us. So, whatever.
I thought it was sweet. I was talking with a buddy about this, and I think that Selena needs to apologize too, because her plan was awful and stupid and got people killed. But I'm not convinced that the writers know that Selena's plan was awful, so I don't know. I'm just going to have to headcanon that happens off screen.
Or maybe she does it in her title.
I will never know, because I'm not going to read that.
I haven't seen
Jaymee,
it.
Jaymee will have to tell me if that happens.
Yeah, she's still trying to kill herself.
Yeah, well, yeah, she's still trying to kill herself. Well, yeah, I don't know what you want to call it now. Now she's sort of trying to show that she's dead, but she's not dead. She's trying to get the bad guys to fight with each other, and then they're going to form a cadre against the Viceroy. And
none of this makes me want to read this book again.
There's nothing about Bruce really in it. She has more communication with her, with her people than she ever has with the Bat family in the Catwoman. I mean, it's just out there floating around in the ether, if you will, or probably in orbit.
Is it even in Gotham right now?
It's moving into Gotham, or it's moving a little bit into Gotham.
Okay. All right. Well, let's give.
I'll take your word for
it. Yeah, like I said, Jaymee will have to tell me because I ain't gonna read it.
It all started, Jaymee, where I was not going to pick it up until Ian told me that it was okay to pick it up.
Now it's your job.
That never happened.
Heck no, there was 0 issues of that run that I think are worth reading. All right,
I think there was one that we gave maybe a neutral to.
Maybe. Was it during the Night Terrors?
I can't remember. And I thought we were kind of neutral on the whole dying by radiation poisoning and Superman being there at her side. That was a little touching also, but other than that.
Yeah, that I do remember, because I remember hearing that episode. Yeah, I just thought that was very gory, personally. I'm surprised she didn't have her eyes pop out or something.
Oh, God.
But, it just to say briefly, I really had hopes for where the story was going to go. And it just was basically like I just felt like I was slapped in the face. And I was like, really? We're going there? I mean, this had so much potential to talk about different religious issues and stuff like that. And we're just going to completely ignore that. And now it's like, now she has a meteor in her head.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
All right, let's give Batman number 149 a rating out of 5 renovated mansions.
Wait, 5 what?
Renovated mansions.
Oh, renovated mansions. Okay.
I would give it is this a valid score, a 3.8?
Yes.
I will give it a 2.9 strictly because of the backup story, which was better than the main.
I'm giving this a 4. I liked it a lot. I thought it was great.
And it ensures no mode.
Unfortunately, there is no mode. So that's an average of 3.57. That's pretty good.
Whether you are a first-time TBU Comics podcast listener, a 13-year veteran, or anything in between, we'd love to hear what you think about this episode or any of the comics we discussed. Send emails to tbu@thebatmanuniverse.net. Join our Discord server linked at thebatmanuniverse.net. Send us a tweet at TBU_comics. Or, if you're a patron, leave us a comment on our Patreon page. We'd also love it if you left us a review on iTunes. We'd love to read your comments on the next episode of the Batman Universe Comics Podcast. Batman may claim he works alone, but we know that he needs the Bat Family. Join the TBU Bat Family and let us know what you think.
Let's move to Detective. The main story is Gotham Nocturne, Act 3, Crescendo, Part 3. Written by Ram V, art by Stefano Raphael, colors by Lee Lowrich. Batman, sporting his new bloody bat symbol on his chest, beats up dozens and dozens of gang members in an ancient train yard to meet Two-Face. Using his tiny soundwave speakers, Batman rids Two-Face of the asthma demon so Harvey can take over again. He apologizes for not understanding the struggle against the asthma and asks for Harvey's help against the impossible Orgum forces. 3 years after being dragged out of her Joker's daughter persona, Duella Dent rents from a kindly old couple in Gotham. Joker sits next to her on a bench and tells her that he's microwaved one of her landlord's cats to frame her, and leaves her old mask of his face from the New 52 Detective Comic run. If they're not going to do editor's notes, I darn well am. Jim Gordon gets data on the Orgum's mysterious plans from his daughter, Oracle, and gives it to Commissioner Montoya. Obviously, the story happens on a completely different timeline from the Batman book. Batman gives the Ten-Eyed Man the same data, looking for patterns. The Orgums plan to set loose the disenfranchised on the streets of Gotham, led by a shadow angel taking the place of Prince Arzon. On the rooftops, Batman meets with Nightwing, Cassandra Cain Batgirl, and Azrael, recognizing the false flag attack by the Orgums on themselves to paint themselves as innocent responders when they take over Gotham officially. Batman leads his family to fight for Gotham's dark soul. Duella reclaims her mission as Joker's daughter, murdering her kind landlords brutally and putting on her old mask as Gotham burned. So first question, did the way the Orgums have another plan to take over Gotham surprise you?
I would say probably no, but I'm going to probably do a Steph on this. I really don't care.
Say it again.
I'm going to do a Steph on this. I don't care. This story is, I know I said it writing. It's like, oh, I kind of like it. But when you actually go down deep into the story, it's like, really, we're going there? Okay, fine. They have another plan. I mean, they're this crime family, I guess, from another country. It's like, okay.
And I'm just over it. I mean, it is such a chore to get through reading this title. It is painstakingly hard to get through. I mean, there'll be times where Ian will ask a question during a recording, and then I'll be like, wait, that actually happened? And I have to go back and look. Because it's just so easy to forget everything about this book. And Jaymee said it best, quoting Steph, I just don't care.
So I'm frustrated with this book because I thought the Orgums already took over Gotham. So why do they need to take it over again? They had a public execution of Batman in the middle of the city. How are they not already in charge? So this just feels really stupid to me. Like if they hadn't done the whole public execution thing and they hadn't had the whole thing where they turned on the reality engine and they erased Batman and they were already in charge, I would be like, okay, this is the plan. But they already did all those things. So having another plan to take over just illustrates how absolutely slapdash and shoddy and ramshackle the entire Orgum plot is.
I think it also backs up the idea that I mentioned a while back, and that Rambi was probably not expecting to end at 1089.
How much further do you think he thought he was going to go?
I don't know, but I could tell you I wasn't going to be there.
I like the covers.
Yes, the covers are very cool by Evan Kegel. What do you think the bigger plan that Oracle and the Ten-Eyed Man are finding is?
I have no idea. I'm still getting over Batman with face paint.
And that terrible, terrible costume.
Oh, yeah,
it
well,
looks
I'm
really-
not going to go there either.
It looks very. It's not, and that's not a slap against Stefano Raphael. I think his art is good. I just think that the costume is dumb.
Well, and I'm not going to hold it against him either, because he really has to follow the lead of the writer.
Yeah.
So this is this is Romby, so yeah, just terrible. Worse than the costume Bruce used to take on Zor in Zdarsky's run.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
So
Sorry, we just hijacked your question.
I mean, it's getting discussion down, so that's fine with me. I'm going to try and answer my own question, and that is, I have no idea. Why do they have more plans? Like, what? The Orgums just frustrate me because I don't understand their plans. I don't understand their powers. I don't understand their motivations. They're just nebulous crime family from nebulous country with nebulous everything. And if you don't give me specifics, why should I care?
And guess what's going to happen after 1089?
No one's going to remember this at all, that I will be very happy.
We'll never hear from them again.
Thank goodness. So we do have a scene between Bruce, Dick, Cassandra, and John Paul. How'd you like the way that Romby handled that Bat family interaction? Plus, of course, Renee and Jim. I guess I'll throw them all in.
Well, I mean, usually you see Bruce basically trying to do it alone, so I mean, he's pretty much got the heavy hitters with him, so that's pretty much definitely going to be needed. I mean, Cassandra was always there. I did think it was interesting that Azrael is in his Asbat costume, so I thought that was an interesting take. Makes you think that maybe poor Dick needs to have bad ears or something like that in order to fit in with the club. But I mean, it's good he's getting help. He probably needs more. I mean, they sent the Justice League after Failsafe, and of course, I guess there's no Justice. Of course, I don't know when the timing of this is either, so I don't know if there's even a Justice League in existence.
This is before Failsafe.
Okay, all right, so there is a Justice League, but it's like of course, I know it's not a Justice League book; it's a Detective Comics book. It could almost be, other than Dick, it almost is sort of like, hey, let's get the old training team back together again. But Dick wasn't in that book, so he needs help. That's basically all I can say. He needs help. It's interesting that he's using Jim Gordon as sort of like the point person, which was a kind before Oracle was an Alfred Pennyworth role.
That's a good point.
And Commissioner Montoya is sort of like taking a back seat to everything.
She's the lamest of lame ducks, since we already know that she's getting ousted by Vandal Savage.
Yeah, exactly. Which, I mean, I probably wouldn't mind seeing the Question out there again,
Yeah, give it. I mean, here's the thing: a Rom V Question miniseries, or even an ongoing. I don't know if it'd sell well enough, but I think that would actually be pretty good. But that's not what we're getting. We're getting this stupid she's commissioner, but also the Question nonsense.
Well, and I guess I'm old school or whatever, but I kind of look at Detective Comics as sort of like being the detective story, and there's really no detective in this. It's this convoluted tale that's been going on and I binged this too, so that was not easy to do. And it's just, it was like another tale of Batman going insane kind of a thing, but he's got a demon. And I'm okay with Barbados. I mean, I kind of like that, but I like mystical stuff, and the trip in the desert. I kind of like that because, again, I like mystical stuff. But I guess, and it's what I've been seeing a lot, is just a drawn out story that will never, ever end.
Except, thankfully, we know this is ending in 3 months.
I don't think I answered your question, so I apologize.
No, I think you did.
Someone remind me, because I again, to show how this title is so forgetful. Was it ever revealed how or why they remember Batman? I mean, I know it in the back.
It's just because the plot demands they remember.
Yeah, because I know and I'm gonna call it the interlude story that he was doing with Cassandra and Renee. Cassandra remembered, but my assumption was that everyone else forgot, like the rest of Gotham, or maybe I missed something and they did. I don't know. It's just,
Well, I mean, what happened to that? What happened to that boy too? I mean, he just.
Oh yeah, I want to know what happened to that boy.
You know.
Starro. I don't know what Starro is.
Okay, so I feel torn about this because I love Jean Paul, and I think that Ron V writes a good Jean, and I think that he writes a good Cassandra. And Dick doesn't really say much, so I feel like that's not good, but it's not bad. I'm still really salty that I explicitly asked submitted the question to Scott, and Scott asked, "Is Stephanie Brown going to show up in this run?" And Ron V said, "Well, I'm not going to tell." Just say she's not going to be in it, Ron V. That's disrespectful. So I think that he actually handles the Bat family reasonably well here, but I am very salty, so I'm going to give him 0 points for that. So Ron V can just take 0 points and be happy with it.
I don't even think bringing Batwoman into this would make me happy.
All right. Who is Shadow Angel?
I have no idea.
Because they talk about how he's like the replacement for Prince Arzin, but Prince Arzin's body is with Talia right now. Shiva stole it and gave it to Talia.
Yeah, and she's going to resurrect it.
Exactly. So who is this Shadow? What is happening? Why? Oh.
Well, I guess what the second plan to a plan that already worked.
Right. What is happening?
I will
ahead,
quote a wise person and just say, I don't care.
I already said that. I want to say
All
something else.
Now here is a question that I'm hoping Theo will at least be mad about, but maybe he won't. Why are we seeing a revival of Joker's daughter? Why?
Oh, I am not thrilled with that at all. Now, I don't know what you guys think of cats, but I love cats, so I was pissed off at the Joker, which I usually am anyways. But, what? Why?
I'm a cat person too, so yeah, I feel your pain and anger.
You know, why? That's basically at this point is why. I mean, I haven't seen Joker's daughter since, actually with Red Hood. I think it was Red Hood and Arsenal.
Yeah, way back in the New 52 is the last time I remember her.
Yeah, that was before.
And I was happy
Artemis
that way. I was happy she wasn't around anymore.
Wasn't she in Suicide Squad after that?
Oh,
or was that before?
Oh, she was in Suicide Squad for a little bit on something, but I don't know when.
I think that was before.
Yeah, it wasn't very long.
You know why we can't remember?
Because it's terrible.
To quote a wise young lady, we don't
care.
So I'm really angry because this is a deliberately just nasty story. Like, this is a tale of someone who found redemption. Joker's daughter was being happy. She wasn't hurting people. And Joker microwaves a cat and incites her to murder 2 old people who were nothing but kind to her. And this is gross. And I'm very upset by it. Like, it is upsetting. And I know that it's supposed to be upsetting, but it's upsetting in a way that doesn't make sense in the story. And I resent that it's here.
That's a good way of putting it.
Let's move to the backup. So our backup is called, I wrote this. Oh, here it is. Our backup is called Habeas Corpus. It's written by Alex Pocknadel and art by Lisandro Esteron. Colors are by Patricio Del Peche. One of Two-Face's boys, called Stumbles, betrays his boss and kills another gang member who's buying guns from Two-Face's gang. Two-Face argues with himself about killing Stumbles, imagining a court of law and his old legal principles. Harvey gets Two-Face to flip for it, and the clean side lands up. Two-Face orders Stumbles banished instead of killed, and rounds up his entire gang to go to war with the Organ. So first question about this backup is, what do you think about the handling of Two-Face here compared to Cy Spurrier's handling at the beginning of this run?
I liked it. I did like it. I liked the whole courtroom thing because that seemed to fit with Harvey. And the one side, the prosecution, I guess, was the complete corrupted face of Harvey Dent, and then the defense was Harvey Dent, as before he got the acid in the face. I liked it, but again, I kind of like the psychology kind of a thing with the two sides working together, and trying to, I guess, make a decision. But it's kind of nice that the good side won this time.
Yeah, I think that's a good analysis. I like the way it was handled too. I think that seeing Harvey in the courtroom and all the legal stuff was clever and well done. I liked it better than the Cy Spurrier stuff, and that's partly because I just dislike Cy Spurrier's style, and Cy Spurrier was writing sort of a psychedelic demon possession story, and this is more classic good versus evil in Harvey's mind fighting each other. But I preferred this. I didn't think that Cy Spurrier was necessarily bad in how he handled the character, but I preferred this. I would.
You might disagree, but I think I enjoyed Spurrier's better. Just the turmoil between, because the Spurrier one was where Two-Face was basically going at it with Harvey over Bruce's identity, right?
The demon was involved too. That demon that was possessed.
Right. Yeah, the asthma had been penetrated, but he was basically saying, I can help you by taking over because the demon's tethered to you, it's not to me. But for me to do it, it was that story, right?
Yeah, I think it was. You have to tell me who Batman's identity is.
Was that the Ian?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, I enjoyed that story better.
Interesting. I was, as you expected, I was the other way. I preferred this one. But I didn't say that the last one was bad, just not my taste. How well do you think that this one connects to our main story arc?
The only real connection I see is the end, when Two-Face says, "Okay, guys, we're going against Orgham's." But other than that, and again, I liked it on itself, on its own, because it's more of a psychological inside the mind of Two-Face, the multiple personality syndrome that he has. But I get into that. But again, just okay. Now I guess we got to throw it into Detective Comics. So let's mention Orgham.
So this apparently is before Bruce gives the asthma. So I don't know I don't know. Can I just say I don't care? It fits the overall story, but this I probably would have appreciated more had it been told prior to what we see in the main story.
Okay, that makes sense. I think it connects probably as well as many of the things we've seen. And I think it's kind of nice that Ramvi kind of leaves Two-Face's answer hanging. And I think that's kind of nice because I didn't notice it. But then reading the backup, I'm like, oh, Ramvi left this for Paknadel to answer. And I think that was kind of cool. What do you think of the art team of, I don't recognize these artists of Lisandro Esther and Patricio Del Peche. These seem to be new to me artists.
I loved it. It the background, I'm looking at the courtroom scenes, and the background is like right down the middle, which matches with the judge, who is actually the full Two-Face. I loved it. I loved it. It is so it's really visually shows what's going on inside Two-Face's head. So it was like two halves one side trying to win over the other. And I love it. Again, but I like the visual aspect of it. It really shows the chaos that must be going on inside this man's head.
The art was okay. I meant to check to see if they might have been involved with the Milestone Initiative, that group of artists and writers that were doing, projects for DC through Milestone, but I didn't get a chance to. But the art was okay. No complaints.
Oh, I have complaints. I thought it was ugly as heck. I think that Jaymee brings up a very good point that it's very creative. And there's a lot of really cool visual choices with how to depict Two-Face's inner conflict and his personalities. but I hate it. I think it's super ugly. It reminds me a lot of Eduardo Riso, who I also dislike for the same reason, even though he's very popular and Eisner winning and all that stuff. But I dislike his art, and I dislike. I do not enjoy it at all. And this question is kind of about both the main story and the backup, and that is, there seems to be a real attempt by both Ramvi and Paknadel here to get us to feel a lot of sympathy and kind of be on the side of people who are brutal murderers, both with Ten-Fingered Man, Ten-Eyed Man, and Joker's daughter, and Stumbles, who is in trouble because he murdered someone else, and of course Two-Face. Now, Two-Face, I understand the sympathy because he's a foreign character, but there's so much energy pushed into getting us to be, oh, I don't care that these people are literally just murdering people and don't care about the pain they're causing. They're sad, so we should be sad. That really bothers me.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I find Two-Face to be a sympathetic character. I do like sympathetic villains, but in that whole listing, Two-Face is really the only sympathetic villain. I hate Joker, period. I am not a fan of Joker's daughter. And again, why? And, this murderer, Stumbles, there might be some sympathy for how you see him. He's brutal because he was beaten over pretty good before Harvey even got there. But yeah, I think the only one that's sympathetic here is Two-Face, and that's purely because of the psychology of it. The others, they don't go into psychology at all. So I don't see the psychology in them at all. So I can't really be sympathetic for it because I just don't see the other side.
Well, my question is, how do you feel about this issue asking us to have so much sympathy for people who are just brutally murdering instead of sympathy for their victims?
I didn't look at it that way.
Okay. I feel like...
and we kind of had this conversation before. I don't always look at stories analytically. I just read it to read. And so I didn't see that approach. And it could be because I was just already turned off from it.
No, that's fair.
Well, this found new ways to turn me off. I felt like both Ramvi and Paknadel were lecturing me like, why don't you feel sorry for these people? I'm like, because they're murdering people.
I mean, would you take that approach with every villain? Well, almost every villain.
Most villains, yeah.
Yes. Ivy and...
I think the closest you could come to me not having that feeling is Deathstroke, but that's because Christopher Priest spent 50 issues trying to get me to understand him.
But he still didn't have a redemption story.
No, he did not. He is not a good guy. All right. Let's give Detective Comics number 1086. Three more
Three to
issues,
go.
guys. Three more issues.
Three.
Let's give this a rating out of 5 smoke bomb speakers.
Wait, were there smoke bomb speakers in?
Yeah, that's how he cured Harvey of his asthma.
Can I just give it a 0?
You certainly can.
0.
2.
That was 2, right?
Yep.
I'm also giving it a 2, and this is actually lowering from my original rating of 2.5, but how upset I am about the way they're trying to get me to feel sympathy for murderers.
No, you can't do that.
I can. I'm very upset.
No, we stick with the ratings on the site. You doing that to get a mode.
No, I did it before you said it.
I did it before I said it.
No, I wrote it on my tracker. I have a tracker that I use to do the calculation Steph made for me. And I wrote 2.5 and then I changed it to 2.
But your review on the site was 2.5.
I haven't posted my review on the site.
Oh, okay. Then, Steph, edit this out.
No.
I also went to my review document and changed the review to 2, which I'm going to paste in once I'm done tonight. Anyway, that gives us a average of 1.33 and a mode of 2. Let's move to Greater Gotham. As usual, we're giving these titles a thumbs up, thumbs down, or neutral, or if we haven't read it, an abstain. Starting with Nightwing, number 115.
Neutral.
Also a neutral.
I think I didn't read this one. I'm planning to read the final issue, but I read the first issue and I was very meh about it. So I think I'm going to wait till the final. So it's an abstain for me. World's Finest, number 28.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Abstain. Wonder Woman, number 10. Backup only.
Thumbs up.
I refuse to do a backup only. I am doing the whole damn issue, and it is a thumbs up. And
That's
that is
impressive for a Tom King issue.
Yes, that is quite impressive considering it's a Tom King book.
I also like the whole issue.
Definitely an improvement from the story, that's for sure.
But for the backup, I'm definitely giving it a thumbs up. I thought this was very Tom King because he brought in Kite Man, and I knew he was going to from the beginning of the issue because Kite Man's his character from his Batman run. He didn't create him, of course, but he built him up with a whole backstory and stuff. And this was classic Tom King, so I thought that was very funny. Catwoman, number 66.
Thumbs down.
It's so down. I forgot what happened.
Abstain.
I don't care what happened.
Harley Quinn, number 41. Get the pain out of the way in one blow.
Yeah, thumbs down.
Wait, I'm trying to remember what happened with that one.
That was the cop and Harley. And bugging Harley so the cop can find out who the Bat family is.
Yeah. Thumbs down.
Also,
that was a cheap. Several times I thought that was them just trying to have a cheap looking Ivy to play on Harley. Yeah, but definitely thumbs down.
The Brave and the Bold, number 14.
I would say thumbs up. I didn't read the Booster Gold story. I don't like Booster Gold, so I kind of avoid him at all cost. But I did like the other stories in it.
Thumbs down for me. I usually at least go through that first story, but Nightwing and Deadman just don't do it for me.
I wanted to like this, but because I like Tim Seeley, and I have liked Kelly Jones sometimes, but this Deadman is just so gross. I'm not enjoying it. And the backup, the black and white and the other Batman story in space with Guy Gardner were not, they just weren't good. This book is not good consistently. There are some pieces that are somewhat good sometimes, but as a whole, it's never consistent. And I wish they would just cancel and publish these as miniseries. It's just, why? The Penguin, number 11, our penultimate issue.
Abstain.
What do I give this?
Only you can know, Theo.
Wait. I gotta ask this. Did you read it, Ian?
Oh yeah, I read it.
Was that Nakano that Penguin was bribing?
Oh, I didn't notice that, so I don't know.
I could have sworn that was Nakano that he was bribing, and if it is, I'm totally pissed. Considering how
Nakano's supposed to be a straight arrow.
Yeah, I would be totally pissed if that was Nakano, and I'm gonna have to go back and look. But outside of knowing that answer, I will give it a neutral. If that is Mayor Nakano, screw this. And all the good things I said about King for Wonder Woman, I take it all back.
This is a neutral for me too. I have somewhat been. The story is somewhat okay, but this is just. I didn't enjoy it, and the art was good, so it's not a thumbs down. But I didn't.
And I understand these are villains, but come on, you're gonna kill your own kid, really?
Yeah, I don't enjoy that. Even Deathstroke doesn't want to kill his own kid.
He threatens the hell out of him, but he never pulls the
trigger. And he kills all the people who try and kill them. All right, hopefully ending on a happy note. Wayne Family Adventures, mini episode number 3, and then the first episode of season 3, episode 117. Mini episode is called Super Friends, and season 3's first episode is called One Bad Day, part 1.
Thumbs up for both.
Abstain.
Thumbs up for both. The mini episode is classic, and I had to laugh because I'm good friends with the guy who has commissioned hundreds of Cassandra Cain and Superboy romance fan arts. And so the fact that this issue explicitly said that Cassandra and Connor used to date and they still hang out made me really amused for him. And he was over the roof happy. I also thumbs up for the main series. Big change in format. This is going serialized instead of episodic. And I'm interested to see how that goes. But it's fun. Let us move to our Patreon. Since I do not... Nope, we do not have any listener feedback. Give us listener feedback, guys. But we are very grateful for the following fans from our Patreon. And that's thank you to Lisa Slack, Ed Grouse, Johnny McCloskey, Ian Miller, Captain America, David Richards, Joshua Lappin-Bertoni, Caspian73, Donald Townsend, Rob O, Brendan Roberts, and Stephanie Mounts. Thank you all for helping us keep our archive on the web and all our episodes coming out on time. We really appreciate your support and hope that you enjoy our podcast and reviews and all the other things we do. That brings us to the end of our show. I hope that you've had a good time with these comics, even though some of us have not, and none of us had fun with Detective Comics. But until next time, this is Ian.
This is Jaymee.
And this is Theo.
And we'll see you again next time.